welcome to Can Do Conversations. I am Cheryl Williams, the Can Do Mom.
I'm CJ Williams, the Can Do Dad. Thank you for being here.
Welcome, guys. We are happy to have you here again today.
Pull up a chair, come sit with us, and join the conversation.
Maybe grab a cup of warm tea. It's been rather chilly around here lately.
Oh, yeah.
We've had minus digits.
Yes,
Yeah.
The kids aren't used to that. Either is the area. You know, they want to cancel everything, just the fact it's cold.
And we have this one spot in the house that from last year we learned that when it gets, minus temperatures, that we have to give it some extra tender love and care, because if not, the pipes freeze.
Yes.
And
so we have the heaters on them.
We've been
taking care of that. A little drip here and there.
Yep. So we've been on freezing duty, making sure. Now that I will say it's nice that the bathroom's nice and warm and toasty. That's what it is.
So if you have a chill, that's the place to go.
Like it's with all the heaters and things we have going on there, it's warmer than it ever is. So
I go, oh man,
it feels like summertime in there.
A little sauna. You just stay in there.
You can just stay in there and have a good time. So hopefully all of you have made it through this Arctic freeze and blast
and stand safe.
Staying safe and warm. I think the only place that I've seen that's still nice, warm, and sunny is Florida.
Or Hawaii.
That too. If you live in any of those places, get some sun for us and
get those rays.
Yeah, because we today it's a little bit sunny out there, but we have had overcast, we've had snow, we've had rain, we've had sleet, we've had all kinds of stuff. So it's been kind of just a whole.
Right. Even the kids went outside today and they lasted 5 minutes because it was the wrong kind of snow. So no snowman or none of that.
Whereas last week they went out and they were able to build a snowman, which they haven't done in a couple of years.
3 or 4.
Yeah. So they built a really gigantic one and a few small ones. And you have to have the right snow to make snowballs or snow people, right?
They didn't last long at all.
No. And today's snow that we got last night was fluffy. It would be perfect for skiing on, the nice fresh powder. But they went out there and they went to do something and all of it. So I'm like, this is not going to last long. And sure enough, within 5
one
minutes,
at a time.
It took longer to put on all their snow gear than it did for them to go out and play in it.
Mm-hmm. But they still had hot chocolate.
Yep, because I'd already started making it. So.
Yeah, the yummy kind.
Homemade, fresh hot chocolate. There's nothing like it.
Yeah,
with
no packets.
Marshmallows and all that kind of stuff. It just, whenever they know they're going to go outside and play in the snow or somewhere that it's cold, if they know they have hot chocolate to come into,
they're okay.
They'll be coming in sooner rather than later. So that's our update. Hopefully you're staying warm. Nothing has frozen on you, or the power hasn't gone out. All those things that happen.
Still have your fingers and toes.
Yeah. Oh, I would hope so.
Yes.
That would be good. If not, you were outside maybe a little too long
or stuck.
But today we want to jump into the conversation of playing small. And this is something we were talking about, and we feel over the last few years especially, we have been playing it way too small. And so we had an epiphany as to, it's like, why are we playing small? And I know a couple episodes ago we did talk about, expansion versus contraction. And so this is kind of like that. And yet it's a different way of seeing that. And so we want to talk today about how in our lives we have been playing it small. And sometimes when you're in it, you don't even realize that you are playing small. It's just you're doing what you know you need to be doing, or what you think you need to be doing.
Right.
And yet hindsight, is 20/20. You can see everything crystal clear. And it's like, you know what? The reason that we're getting the results that we're getting, or why we're on the path that we're on, is because we haven't been doing the things that we need to be doing to get the results that we want to get. Because we've been playing small.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know what? We've always been thinking small instead of thinking bigger, because we didn't know the direction on how to do that. Because we were limiting beliefs for ourselves. And we didn't know how to do that unless we started talking about it more, planning and taking action, but we just need to do it on a bigger scale.
And, we have always talked about things and had our plans and had where we were going to go, but somewhere along the line, we
sold ourselves short.
Yeah, and unbeknownst to ourselves, right? It's like somewhere subconsciously, because it wasn't a conscious thing, like, oh, we want to play small, let's do this.
No.
It was more of we want to make sure that we're staying together as a family unit, that we are taking care of the kids and taking care of the obligations and taking care of, all of these other things. And so what kind of businesses can we have that go in line and are parallel to that? And so, but along the line of doing that, year by year by year, it has been a downward trajectory of, as far as we haven't been expanding, we have been just kind of contracting into ourselves and playing small in what we're doing. It's like, well, here we are, we're doing this is what we're going to do, because anything else outside that, not that it would rock the boat, but it's just like we were doing what we were doing because we thought that was the best thing to be doing. And yet looking back at it, it's like, no, we were playing small. We weren't expanding. We weren't doing all that we could do
for a long time.
We were just getting by in that we knew what we wanted, and yet we weren't pushing ourselves to go for more.
Well, we attempted to do things bigger, but we didn't really test anything we wanted to do also. We just wanted to create something that wasn't tested first. But we just kept going and getting hit in the head and not noticing that we should make a pivot sooner.
Or, it's
and
like...
that's going to hurt us in the long run.
Well, it's also like things aren't always going to go your way, right?
No.
And you're not going to set out. And so that's what we've always look, we're going to get knocked in the head. We are, we're not always going to win. We're going to keep getting up and keep trudging forward. And so that's what we've done. It's like things haven't always gone our way, right?
But we kept pushing
through. And yet we kept pushing forward saying, no, we're going to continue down this path. Nope, we've gotten knocked down. We're going to get back up. It's not how many times you get knocked down, right? It's how many times you get back up. And so we've had all of these beliefs that we've held within ourselves, and yet at the same time, we were continuing down a path. And at a certain point, there comes a fork in the road. It's like, okay, are we going to continue going down this path and continue to get the same result over and over again and expect a different outcome? Or are we not learning the lesson that we need to learn in what we are doing, in that it's not that you get knocked down, how many more times can you get back up? It's like maybe someone, right, is saying, hey, this is not what you need to be doing. This is not the path that you should continue on. Wake up, get the hell out of that, and move and do something differently.
Yes. Put the brakes on right now and make a U-turn.
And so, we're always, we pray and we believe in a higher power, and that, things are not out there conspiring against us, that we're working towards the collective good, and there's energy and things that are in that. And yet we're asking for guidance and direction, and for doors to open and for things to close. And yet sometimes when you're just going through that, it's like, well, I know that things aren't always going to go according to plan, but it's not how many times we get off track, it's how many times we keep going forward. And so that was our notion. And so even though we're getting smacked in the head this way and whacked over here this way, and things aren't going the way they need to be going this way or that way, we didn't look at that as the sign that we were looking for, that maybe this is the sign.
Just because we wanted to be tough and get knocked. And I
don't even think it was about being tough. It was that we had the mindset that we
were being tough,
we need to
but
keep
we
going.
kept going.
We need to keep going.
No matter what happened, getting knocked down, we just kept going. And that's what we do, is keep going, instead of slowing down a bit and going, hey, maybe we need to make a change here. And sooner.
This is not, every month it's like, okay, do something different. It's like, no, but if you've been on a path for 5 or 10 or 15 years and you're getting the same thing today as you were yesterday, as you were last year or last decade, and things aren't changing.
And things aren't growing.
And yet you are doing, wanting to do different things, or you're putting time, effort, and energy behind it, and you're not just flippantly making a decision like, this is not working for me. I put 30 minutes in it. I'm going to go over here and do something else.
No, we're the total opposite.
No, it's like, no, come on, let's dig in deeper. Let's go further.
Yes.
And yet, at a certain point, it's like, okay, wait a second, hold on. Are we holding on to this thing, this idea, this notion, and we're riding it, until the freaking wheels fall off? And then, we're in the pit over here, instead of taking that same time, effort, and energy and putting it into something else and rising up in that, right?
Right, and not a plan B either.
No.
Because when you do have a plan B, you're always thinking about what happens if this doesn't work, and you're already ready to go to plan B. So you're not fully immersed in what you're doing at the time, because you always know, hey, B is right on my side. I can just jump off at any time, and that'll affect the way things are going. It'll affect yourself. It'll affect your heart and the way you think about things.
And, in that scenario of, you've got your plan A and your plan B in case plan A doesn't
Plan
work out.
C.
You can, hop over here. And we never had that. We were all in on this one thing. However, there comes a point in time when it's like, okay, maybe we're all in on the wrong thing. Like maybe this is no longer serving us. This is no longer the path and the direction. Like it served us for a certain time, but if we're not growing and we're not expanding and we don't have abundance and we don't have like we're not
what we want out of life
to grow and change and go for more in those things, and we are, and yet we're not getting in a different place or a different position no matter how much time, effort, energy, expenses, like all that you put into it. And so we're here to say, hold on a second. We're all about going all in. We're all about plan A. We're all about, getting in, and no matter the dips and no matter the twists and no matter the turns, we're in it, right?
But you just have to notice when things aren't going your way.
But at a certain point, you have to check in and say, hold on a second. We have been doing this and we're getting the exact same result. Maybe this is not the thing. Maybe the answer to the prayer or the blessing that we've been looking for is to
in the wrong direction.
Let that go completely. And in what you have to do to let go is you have to jump over, take a flying leap into something else.
And get off of that ride. You have to get off that ride with both feet.
And that can be scary.
Not one foot still in. You need to take a flying leap to land properly and set a new goal, set new plans, so you can work out whatever you need to work out.
And sometimes you're in that unknown space. And why we say we were playing so small for so long is because that's what we knew. That's what we were doing. That's what we were focused on. That was where our attention and our time and our effort and our energy was going.
Because that's what we knew and grew with.
Right. And so to get off of that, to abandon ship, to take a flying leap over here is a leap of faith in and of itself, because now you're letting go of the things that you really do know. And yet that's why we're saying we were playing too small, is because we were comfortable in that. Yes. We were comfortable even with...
But really not comfortable because we weren't happy in that situation.
Correct. But even with the ebbs and the flows, even with the conks on the head, right? Even with the hitting the head against the wall, or the dead ends that keep coming up and you keep going and you keep trudging and you keep moving.
Right.
After a while, it gets freaking exhausting. It's like, okay, what are we doing this for? There has to be more out of life than just continuing doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Right, because you don't want to constantly be hitting the wall. Constantly hit the wall thinking you're going to get past it and not realizing it's a wall.
And maybe...
Not realizing it because you can see through that wall, but yet it's stopping you every time. So that's when you need to go, wait a minute, that wall is getting more solid by the minute. So we need to abandon ship, literally, and get over here and work on a new plan.
And so that's where we have been in that, and I think coming here where we are now, we got away from all the noise.
Yes.
We kind of took a step back in that, this is not the nicest house we've ever lived in. This is not the nicest area we've ever lived in, right? No. And yet we were willing to come here to see, is this the right path for us?
Yes.
And to try it on for size for a little bit to see, is this the direction, right? And so sometimes you do have to get yourself into other experiences and into other situations and other things and try it on for size for a bit and say, is this for me? And if not, be okay with saying, nope, that's not, and jumping over here. Because
and then that could have changed too if we played small when we did move here.
And that's why we said we weren't playing small.
When we did move here, by playing really small, we could have found this out 3 years later.
Right.
2 years later. And then time goes past by playing so small. And thank goodness we jumped full in, immersed ourselves, jumped full ahead, and realized that wasn't for us. So now we know, hey, now it's time to pivot and go for what we want.
Right. And I think, at least from my standpoint of, it's like you can look at all of these things like, okay, where is the lesson in all of this? Because after a while, you can almost get jaded to the situation in of itself. It's like, okay, what the hell? What is all of this for? What are we doing life in general for? There has to be a lesson. And so I'm always looking for, where's the silver lining? Where's the lesson? Where maybe the lesson is take it for what it is and freaking move on already, right?
Yes.
And so we have been on that thing of like, there is no plan A. I mean, there is no plan B. We only have our plan A. We're focusing, we're doing, we're going, we're doing.
Yes.
And yet at a certain point, and I think that's important because I do think a lot of people expect instant gratification and a lot of people expect, things to always go according to plan.
Or success after the first month of getting started on
things
something.
Things are going to just be grandiose
like the
and
internet.
perfect.
The internet, you're going to be rich in 2 weeks.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
And that hasn't been our
We've
case
never thought that.
No, and so we're willing to do the hard work. We're willing to put in the late nights and the early mornings and the weekends and the,
all the time.
All the time. That's not our challenge. Our challenge is that maybe there's times and there's a time for everything. And maybe the time for that was what the time for that was. And yet now it's time to do something different. It's time to go a different direction. It's time to pick up some things. And also what we have looked at is there have been clues along the way. There have been little things here and there that we have chose not to look at, right? Because we were so focused in and narrowed in on
the blinders.
This is what we're doing. No, this is the direction that we're going. No. And so even though we've had little, hey, maybe over here, look over here. Or hey.
But when the blinders are on,
and
you don't feel that. You don't feel it or see it.
You're focused in.
When somebody's going like this, but you're here, with the blinders on, you're not going to be able to see it.
And I know there's a lot of people out there, and the reason we're having this conversation is because there's a lot of hardworking people out there. There's a lot of people who want to do what's best for their family. There's a lot of people who, are looking at not getting the result right away, willing to put in the work, willing to put in the time, effort, and energy, just like we were. And yet, at the end of the day, if it's no longer serving you, it's no longer serving you. And so you have to be okay with having those tough conversations of what the hell are we doing? What are we doing this for? Where are we going? Future pace it out too, because we had even talked about that. Like, okay, if we stay on this trajectory that we're on for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, where are we going to be? Let's look into the future. You can get a lot of evidence from the past as to what the future is going to be. And so looking back and learning from what's back here, not living in it, but learning from it, and then being right here, right now, and saying, okay, where am I at? And then future pacing it out and say, okay, if I continue doing the things that I'm doing, what is the result that I'm going to continue to get? And we didn't like what we were seeing 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now.
No.
Because we've already done this for 15, 10, 5, umpteen years, right?
Yes,
and so
just be done.
It's time to make a change.
Be done.
And let go of the safety net of playing small, even though when you're in it, you don't feel like you're playing small.
And be okay with that.
Yeah.
Be okay with saying, I'm not going to do this anymore.
It's not serving me.
It's not. So be ready to jump off right away and go full in on your new plan or what your new goals, all this action steps you need to do is just go full ahead and be okay with dropping the stuff that wasn't making you successful where you wanted to go anyway. So be okay with that and just move forward again. You don't have to put your blinders on this time. It's more than staying focused, because now the next time somebody's going like this and waving their hands and we have a bump, you're okay. You noticed that challenge. Okay, now we're going to fix it a little more and pivot. But you'll learn the lesson sooner.
And time and circumstances change everything.
Yes.
Who you are today is not who you were 10 years ago, right? And so your goals and aspirations and dreams should not be the same as they were 5, 10 years ago, even last year. You should always be growing, changing, and evolving. And a lot of times our plan or our vision stays the same.
Yes.
And so it's like, this is what we're doing, this is where we're going, this is how we're going to get there. And when you put those constraints on it, sometimes you're not able to flow into where you actually need to go or where you should be headed or how you can play
Right.
it bigger, right? And how you
Rewrite
can
that.
rewrite the story, rewrite the narrative, but also get out of the comfortable, because sometimes
Comfortable isn't good.
doing the same thing over and over again, it starts to become comfortable. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
and you don't see it as playing small. You don't see it as being comfortable.
It's more about
You're
living life.
just continuing on the path that you've been on, and yet sometimes you got to shake it up. Sometimes you got to like abandon ship and say, okay, nope. We
Yes.
have been coasting, and that's what it kind of felt like. It's coasting, right? We're not going up, we're not going down, we're
Nope,
just kind of
just
staying the
gone
same.
straight.
However, time is continuing to pass you by. And so even
Yes.
though you're coasting, you're really falling backward because you're not excelling forward. And so if you're just coasting through life and just, okay, I'm used to this. I know there's going to be some bumps and some bruises and some struggles and some challenges, but hey, that's just how it is. And so I'm going to stay in this lane that I'm comfortable with. And that's the thing that I think comes to bite you in the ass, is the comfortability of it. You've been doing it so long the same way. Same thing in this, we're talking about more business than life, but also like in your routine. If you get comfortable in a routine, is it serving you any longer? Or are you
Yes.
more just going through the motions and checking the boxes off because that's what you did last year and last week? And so you're just back in another pattern again. And you have to always be evaluating, is this pattern serving me?
Well, just like in working out, you can't do the same routine all the time because you're working out the same muscles, and you want something different for yourself, but you're not growing. You're not getting any bigger because you're doing the same old routine you've done for 2 years. That's not going to help you. You're going to have to learn to work different muscles, to build a different routine for yourself so you can move forward and go where you want to go. And be okay with being uncomfortable. Be okay with your sore muscles. Be okay with starting that new job. Being okay with different things and having a pattern interrupt to help yourself.
And even if, you feel like where you are now is where you wanted to be, it's time to reevaluate. Is this where you want to be in the next 5 years? Or do you have something bigger that you're wanting to go after?
Right.
Or something where you're wanting to grow more, or you're wanting to change? Or, you've had small children, now the children are growing and they're getting older and they're a little more self-sufficient, and, they don't need as much time from you as they did when they
Yes.
were, little and relied on you for every little thing.
Yes.
Are you still playing the same game?
Yes. That's when it's time to grow even more because your kids are getting older. So your plans are going to change because your kids are even getting older. You're in a different time frame. You want to spend more time with the kids because you feel like you haven't spent more time with them when they were younger. So you want to make up for that lost time and have a different plan so maybe you can spend more time with them. Or you do want to make more money so you could do extra trips and spend more time with the family as a whole.
And so the whole point of today's conversation is to look within yourself and see where in your life are you playing small? Where in your life are you comfortable and you're in a certain routine, you're
And not
doing a
growing.
certain thing, and you've been doing that same thing over and over and over again, and you're not growing.
Repetitive.
You're not challenging yourself. You're not pushing to the next level. And so rip that wide open and say, no, you know what? I'm ready to take it over
Yes.
here. I'm ready
Rip
to
the
start that
Band-Aid
new
off.
business. Or I'm ready to take a business that I'm in to the next level. Or I'm ready to change up some
Yes.
relationships. Or
Hire more people.
I'm ready to bring on more people. I'm ready to,
Yes.
we've been at this same,
Yep.
income level. I'm ready to bump it up in
Yep.
this year. So again, it's like a lot of times when you're in it, you don't see it. And so you've got to step outside.
Take yourself out of the
And
narrative.
say, okay,
Yep.
let's look at the patterns, because the patterns repeat themselves. So
Over
if
and
this
over
is where
again.
we've been and this is the trajectory that we're on, and we're on the same pattern and the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same result. Do you like the results you're getting, or do you want to change it? Do you want to push it up? Do you want to grow and expand in different areas and aspects of your life? Because that's what we've been doing. We're like,
Yep.
no, it's time to push. It's time to
Hard.
get out of this thing over here that's no longer serving
Yep,
us
and be done.
and be done with it. Not leave the door open a little bit.
No.
Not, well, maybe we'll do this or maybe we'll do. It's
No,
like, no, we
it's
need to
done.
completely jump over here, put that to rest. It is what it
Yes.
is. It served its
Put it
purpose.
to bed.
And now it's time to come over here and go all in on this
Yes.
and move forward. And then,
And be thankful for it.
yes,
Be thankful that you're at that place of change. Instead of being upset with yourself that it took so damn long, you're putting it to bed. Be okay with it. Say your goodbyes. Step over and be done with it. And just move on. and be happy you finally realized it.
Yeah.
And then look forward.
Better now than 5 years from now, right?
Right.
And so it's all how you look at it and how you frame it, in that everything happens for a reason and it serves you. And so you need to go on that path and that journey to get you to where you are today. But do you need to continue on that path and journey? Or are you being called to do something else? Are you hearing that voice that used to whisper and now the whisper is turning into
yelling,
a little bit louder. And that one thump is turning into three. And
the
now
blowhorn is out.
Right.
The
It's like,
blowhorn is
okay,
out.
I need to stop focusing in so much and attempting to do this and listen to what's being told around me, or where I'm feeling drawn or pulled, and start going in those directions. And then give it your all. Don't just hop, skip, and a jump over here to here to here. You got to go all in.
Right.
Give it the time it needs. Give it the energy and the effort.
And write your thoughts down. What's around you. You're in it. So stop. Get some paper out. Get some pens. Figure out what you're doing. Write it down. So maybe when your thoughts are going to tell you, your thoughts are going to be on paper. Then it'll tell you maybe you need to make a change because you actually thought about it, and that will help you.
And we're already, pushing towards the end of January.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need to wait until next year.
No.
It's okay that you didn't start this at the beginning of the year.
It's okay.
Now is the perfect time, right? When is now a good time to do it? Right here.
Right now.
Right now. We are in the present moment today. You don't need to wait until Monday. You don't need to wait until the weekend. You don't need to wait until next week or next month or next year. You can make these changes right here and right now.
Can.
And that is what's powerful, is when you see that something is no longer serving you and it's no longer helping you get closer to who you want to become or what you want to do, that's when you make the change. Whether that's in your diet, whether that's in your relationships, whether that's in your business, whether that's in your finances, you have to look at that and know, I can do more. I can be more. I can become more. I can play a bigger game. I can make a bigger mark.
And not doing everything at once. We've said that. We've said it before. Don't attempt to do everything she just named all at once. Say, okay, I'm going to take care of my physical body first. Okay, I'm not going to eat crap. So to throw away all the crap in your house. Okay, you're going to have to start walking more. For your business, you're going to have to go in early. You're going to have to hire somebody that you don't want to take over your job because since you started the business, you didn't want to let somebody in to do what you're doing, even though it's going to help you in the long run. So you have to take those little steps on helping yourself and your business and for your personal self and your being.
And like you said, don't do everything at once. However, you can just like a freaking abandon ship, jump all in, and just rip off the Band-Aids too.
And just write it out. Okay, that's done, that's done, that's done.
A couple ways that you can ease into it. Like we've all gotten into the pool that's cold, right? You put your toe in, you're like, oh shit. Okay, that's a little cold. Maybe I'll just wait a little bit. Or maybe I'll swirl my toe around a little more, and we'll see how that goes. But what happens if you just freaking go all in, jump in, right? And the initial shock is like, oh, okay, and then you're in there, and it's like, oh, this is not so bad. Okay,
yes.
Why? Because you start acclimating. And so the faster you can do that in all areas and aspects of your life, the better. But if you're overwhelmed by doing too many things at once, and so you do nothing, that doesn't serve you either.
No.
So you have to know who you are and get to know yourself more. Are you the one that needs to just freaking rip it all off and go all in on your finances and your family and your relationships and your fitness and your wellness? Like, do you just need to completely do a complete 180 and go?
Be done.
Or do you need to take it? Okay, let's work on our body first, and let's work on our mind, and then let's work on our relationships, and let's work on our finances. Figure out what that is for you. But the faster you can get through all of that and be in alignment in all areas and aspects of your life, the more you're going to flourish.
And you can take a step in each thing that she named.
Yeah, just
you
one.
can take one thing and make one change to help yourself.
And that's what
throughout
we call
the day.
That's what we call a foundational 5, right? We
Yes.
have focus, which is your mind, fitness, which is your body. Family, which is your relationships, and finances, your money, right?
Yes.
And then ultimately, we're the reason it's foundational 5, that was 4. The
Right.
5th one is freedom. You're creating a
You're
freedom
building it.
component amongst all of those pillars for yourself. And
Yes.
so, if you need to do them one by one, great. But if you can do all those at once and just
Yes.
do one thing in each of those at a time
Yep.
and then add another thing, you'll start getting the result because
You
now
will.
we're playing a bigger game. We're playing at a higher level. We're going for more in all areas and aspects, and we're not playing it small anymore.
And you'll notice, and you'll get there faster by doing things daily instead of waiting for a month to work on your diet or your relationships.
And the more you put yourself in uncomfortable situations in your mind, in your body, in your finances, with your relationships, the more you're going to grow and change. If you're trying to stay comfortable and get a different result, it's not going to happen. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable to get the result that you want. And that's where that comfortability, that's where the playing small comes into play. It's because you're comfortable doing this, right? You've done this long enough. This is kind of, you got this covered. We got this. And so you kind of stay in that. And that's where we're saying, nope. It's time for us to get out of that comfort. It's time to get uncomfortable. It's time to do things differently to get a different result and push towards where we're wanting to go, knowing that it's not going to be comfortable along the way.
No, and it's not going to be.
And embrace it. And that's
And
okay.
just know that ahead of time.
Life is meant to be lived, right? It's not meant to be comfortable. Life is meant to be an adventure and something that you're writing your own story. So what do you want the story? Do you want the pages to be the same? I mean, when you're watching a movie or reading a story, isn't it more exciting when there's more adventure and more challenge
excitement.
and more? And then you come out there like, wow, that was quite something, right?
Yes.
Versus, it's the same page. We're reading the same story over and over and over again for 300 pages. Like, no, change it up.
And doing the full circle loop.
Right. And so have fun with it, yes, but also push yourself.
Yes.
Go for more.
And then that's when
Challenge
you have
yourself.
butterflies. Your heart's going to go like this. You're going to have butterflies because it's something new. But just look forward to that and know that ahead of time.
And that you're challenging yourself and you're going for more and you're pushing. And with that, that's where the expansion and the growth happens.
Correct.
On the other side of being comfortable.
Yes.
So our conversation for you today is get outside the comfort.
Yes. Get uncomfortable.
Look and see where you're at. Where are you playing small in your life? And how can you let go of that and jump over to something where you're meant to be, a place that you're meant to go, where you can play bigger, where you can rewrite the story, where you can get comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's how you're going to grow and go for more.
You will.
All right, guys, we appreciate you joining this conversation today.
Yes, thank you.
Make sure you share this out with other like-minded individuals, other families that you know that could utilize this message.
And
then
reach out to us and send us messages and ask us any questions that you have.
we love hearing from you guys. And until next time, remember, we can do it, and so can you. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.